Hello! We are back from a snack break. That was like basically literally just a snack break. So, you're traveling the world. Well, you're basically just going back the way you came. And to be entirely honest with you, not a lot happens. This is quite a clear time and you already know. I mean, you were discussing quite a lot how the Dwarven Lands is fairly safe because there's weirdos like Oxhorn killing anyone who's going to cause anyone any trouble. So, yeah, it's safe. As long as you're a good guy, right? Yeah. So, the only, like, real pause you get, like, maybe you get passed by traders or something like that.
Traders kill them.
Is you get to the Turquoise Wall, the border between the Elven Lands and the Dwarven Lands, right? A checkpoint. You try to go through. Which one of you is holding the rifle? Or has it strapped to their back?
Vale is.
But not Vale, because Vale's not here.
I imagine it would be Caitlin based on the fact that she's the strongest.
Yeah, Vale could also barely hold it.
Yeah.
So, they're like letting go through, and then like literally like, oh, your name's yeah, and then like one of the guards.
I don't know. I caught a third of last stream, and I'm pretty sure Vale was kind of like. Yeah.
Vale was playing with it, but he's also it's like kind of a little heavy for him, right?
Yeah, he probably wouldn't carry it.
Which is why he pocketed the pistol because it was fancy.
I feel like Vale would have that same problem with Forak. He likes playing with it, but it's just a bit too heavy for him.
Yeah. So literally one of the elven guards, and they're not the same ones that you see before, but again, green armor, proper Iradian wood elf guards. Just sort of like as Caitlin goes to pass after they write your names down and check you off, and I imagine you don't give fake names because why would you, right? Vale tries to. Vale like almost goes to make a joke name, but then like Caitlin gives him a look and he's like, Vale.
I'm Mitchell and Mitchell.
You Mitchell and Mitchell Mitch? Nah. But literally like puts hand out, so like you'd be like, woof, and he's like, what's that weapon on your back?
How do you know it is weapon?
Looks like a crossbow that was broken, but more.
Perhaps it's a crossbow that's broken.
Forak, let Caitlin speak, please.
Is it a crossbow that's broken?
It isn't. We were asked out here on an errand by an elven house, and this is the result. It is a new weapon, as you so say.
What does it do?
Your guess is as good as mine. We were shown how to what it looked like, and we went and retrieved it. I have never actually seen one used.
Who are you working for again? Did you mention?
Well, we are working for a minor offshoot of House Agast, but if you were to ask them, they might deny all knowledge of that.
He writes that down and is like, that makes sense. Okay, you may pass. You may be getting letters in the future.
Oh, great.
Soldier, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, here we go. Oh.
Go ahead.
Do you love your country?
I do. I serve my eternal duty to protect it, sir.
And you will always follow orders given by your superiors to protect your country, yes?
Within logical reason.
You are a good man. And I turn and I walk away.
Did the elf kind of like, I imagine he turns and you two are sort of still looking at the conversation like, what was the point of that? And the elf kind of gives you a look like, what was the point of that? And they're like, Gomer's like a dwarves look, right? But not that far, because this guy wasn't a complete asshole. So it's just like, it's a Jim face. It's a Jim turn at the camera face. That's exactly what he does. And then just kind of like goes back to writing down, because there's literally like another carriage coming up to fill the space you're in talking to them. So
yeah, Caitlin would just like shrug and bow slightly and leave.
Great. So, again, you travel without much problem. It's more or less, I mean, it's probably around 10 days of travel altogether before you make it back to Aradia. Aradia, beautiful wood elf city, which means I should really get around to changing the dwarven music. So, you are back in Aradia. Is there anything you want to do, or do you want to just curtain tail it back to House Agast, the Agast estate? Because Agast is a dutied house, and all the dutied houses have estates, which are basically like
Caitlin would
villages.
certainly be all for going straight back to the house, even if she had other business. Do that first.
I have no other business with these strange, alien, weird creatures that should probably all be buried into the ground.
Okay, so you travel. You got here at a fairly reasonable time of day, so you could travel through the city without much problem. You actually already know that from where you re-enter the city, sort of directly from the east, you've got a good way to go through the city, because most of the estates are in the middle of the city, literally called the inner circle, and you can see it everywhere because it spirals upwards and is mostly made of wood. But House Agast is past that. It's way more westwards. It's like northwest of the city, basically in its own little castle, right? So you have quite the trek to get over there. I don't think you're willing to pay a little more to go take the canals. I imagine you guys just walk, which is reasonable. So you walk through. Nothing really seems to have changed since the last time you were here. It's a wood elf city. It is beautiful to those that respect that, but Thorak is probably missing the smog. You two, however, are loving that there's no smog here. The air in Aradia is... It's pure. I can't really do that right now because like my nose is blocked, so I'm just like... But, you know, the air is pure and it smells a little fruity in places, especially as you're going through marketplaces and things. Especially the east side of the city is a lot of shopping districts because, ooh, people are coming into the city this way. Ooh, people are coming... So there's lots of shops and grand markets and things. And the smells are beautiful, the sights are beautiful. There's songbirds singing. The stars you can quite clearly see, whereas in... when it gets later in the day, and whereas in the Crimson Mountain, you can't quite see that. But you easily make your way to the Agast estate. Question for all of you actually know, do you take like sort of one of the main entrances, or do you take that little sneaky entrance that you were taught, which goes under a bridge?
I'm going to follow Caitlin's lead on this one, but I will make a comment about the fruitiness of the place and be like, it smells like bathing oils to hide the stink of society. It is lies.
I'm like intent going, oh, finally. Oh.
Yeah, Caitlin's probably too absorbed in the atmosphere to even...
Doesn't even
respond.
notice your sass. That's the funny bit.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
I imagine Vale kind of gives you a little bit of a laugh because he's not from Aradia, and he probably also agrees. So he would be like, this is a nice one. He'd give you credit. He'd give you a token laugh at the very least.
I miss Vale. It's been like 8 years since I got to hang out with Neil.
You haven't got to hang. You've just swapped each other.
I know. His
So
sexy self.
But
Caitlin.
yeah, Caitlin would go to the back exit she's been shown because she's worried about upsetting someone if she goes in the front.
So to recap, dutied houses like House Agast, and House Agast basically deals with making weaponry mostly for the military, but you know, whoever is willing to, whoever is official enough for the Wood Elves, they have these estates. House Agast is really old. They basically have a castle. It's a very old castle, but it's still defensive. They haven't really been focusing on upgrading the walls to the newest sort of technology. It's mostly for show. But yeah, it's a castle, and the way you enter is the same way you entered a couple of weeks ago. More or less, it's been 2.5... now it would have been like 2.5 weeks since you left. But we can get the exact date when we look at Caitlin's journal, because Caitlin's journal actually keeps the dates, which is pretty interesting.
Well, it does, but you haven't really told me for how long.
They've been fine.
Been
I haven't needed to correct anything. Mostly I checked
on
spelling.
the trip back, you haven't been telling me how many days have passed
10.
on the trip back.
10 days.
10 days.
Which is why I said the journey altogether took 10 days. Ian.
The journey altogether took 10 days.
Yes.
Good.
So you basically enter via, there's a canal system goes through the city. You kind of sneak in through a canal entrance to this estate because it has so much stuff going in and out of the estate, but they just have their own part of the canal that goes in and out and does shifts things. So you can kind of sneak in there, and I imagine you go immediately to the building where you would see Valrorian Agast, your boss. And again, you go in, and the secretary there at the thing kind of looks a little surprised to see you all. and like very noticeably writes something down. And why don't you give me just a perception checks?
Sure.
All of us?
Anyone who cares. You don't
Always
have to
looking.
care.
I
I'm not-
don't care, apparently.
Caitlin
Your
is
eyeballs
very
fall out.
absorbed in herself right now.
Yeah, I'd be looking around the place. It's nice to be back. I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, Forak,
I'm
it kind of looks like
suspicious.
she was like scribbling something out very quickly. So, she was escorted downstairs into the basement of this building, which, I mean, these are wood elves, probably don't like being in the basement. Before you go to Valrorian's study, I imagine you knock, and the door opens, and it is Valrorian. He's actually in the study this time. He doesn't do the thing he did last time where he makes you wait, because he didn't really know you were coming. You didn't send him word or anything. So he's like, oh, sit down. And he actually notices the rifle on Caitlin's back, and his eyes light up, but he doesn't smile. The smile never reaches his there's maybe a smile in his eyes, but it doesn't reach his mouth. And he kind of immediately goes back to his desk and starts organizing some things, like, sit down. Start telling me everything. Everything you can, and all the intelligence that you have. This is extremely important. And starts, like, dips his quill in ink and starts preparing to write things.
These weapons appear to be coming from a dwarven house based in Crimson Mountain called Flame Churl. They rent a forge, specifically by the name of Smolder Black Forge, that is producing the actual body of the pistols.
They're actually making the whole thing.
Making the whole thing, okay.
But yeah.
And they have some sort. Did Forak actually tell us exactly where the?
He
powder
did.
is coming
He
from?
did. That was not today. That was last week, where he came back and was like, "Yes, it's
Right, yeah.
down there. It's black stuff, it's echoing deep. Blah blah blah."
The powder is made by refining some sort of weird hot black liquid that is rising in pools under the mountain in a particular cave. We don't have as much detail on that as we do on the weapons themselves, unfortunately, but we have plans on the weapons. In addition, although it isn't directly related to the actual production of the weapons, the foreman at the forge was quite happy to sell them on the black market, as it were, through connections. He only needed money to line his pocket. If we wished for more examples then it would be expensive, but I imagine we could get them through there. He certainly seemed receptive to when I use some of my merchant background to try and get some extra information out of him. He certainly seemed receptive.
So Valrorian is a tired, middle-aging man. Maybe a little better off than middle-aged because he's a half-elf, but he looks excited, but in a very tired way. He's writing things down, but he's writing it in some kind of shorthand in Elvish that maybe you
Oh my God.
recognize slightly.
Hashtag everything's connected. The tavern was named after him.
Hashtag everything's connected. So he writes it down and is like, well, ideally, that is extremely valuable information, Caitlin. Ideally, we will not need to buy more from them. Hopefully, with the plans, we can replicate the weaponry and learn more about this black liquid you mentioned. But imagine you give him the plans and he kind of looks at them.
And sort of get the rifle out as well. I'd also say Sir Forak knows more in detail about the powder than I do. He was the one who found most of that. We found more information on the forge and production of the actual body of the gun.
Yes, a weapon is useless without its ammunition, but we can reverse engineer. And you hand him the sack of fire powder. Like, we can reverse engineer, perhaps, but you have done. Like, he stands up, and he's almost trying to be more happy than he is. You've done a great service to me. That was me coughing, not him. He's not got a cough right now. You've done a great service to me and House Aghast, and money is only a small part of that, and hopefully you will be able to assist me more with other matters. if anything else arises here. But you have done grand jobs, very, very grand. He reaches and gets out 4 coin purses. Like, not even like, so that's fairly actually nice coin purses, right? You could keep these. And each one has inside it 180 gold.
As I take the coin, I kind of like mutter under my breath, to which only Caitlin would understand. Sells the weapons, but only to line his pockets. Quoting exactly what she had said earlier about the shiesty guy in the thing. Like specifically quoting the exact
super
words.
sass. I get. Ooh.
Caitlin just ignore, sort of. She'd probably sort of like eyes quickly dart to Thorak, but she would just ignore it and say, "Thank you, Sir Valrorian. Your words honour me. I hope to continue to be of service to House of Gast and Aradia."
Did you work well together as a team? You did this all well done.
I believe we all covered each other's weaknesses well. This would not have been possible without all 4 of us.
Good. I will hire you as a team again if I were to need you. But for now, I hope that money sees you well in a comfort in the time being. When I have need of you, I will find way to talk to you again. And
thank you.
He kind of like almost wants to keep talking, but he's like, I shouldn't talk about what I want to talk about. And he kind of does glance to Caitlin, like maybe if he was about to talk to something, she would understand. But anything else, and he's like, enjoy your time. I know not of when I will need you again, but I'm going to assume a week or so.
Of course, thank you, sir.
And with that, you can leave if you've got no questions for him.
Not particularly.
Great.
I'll be the first.
I'm done.
I'll be the first one out, but it's not like I get out there quickly because I hobble.
Yeah, like you probably got up like while he was still talking.
At the tail end when he like seemed like he was
kind of
trailing on because he felt like it was necessary. It was kind of like, okay, this conversation's over.
It's not necessarily that he felt it was necessary. Actually, Caitlin, give me an insight roll, please. But remember, feel free, you can just like say I want to do insight rolls most of the time.
Oh, it's a gorgeous roll.
You have
Sexy.
known Valrorian for a while, like 2 years? And of course you haven't had many in-depth conversations with him, but more than you imagine he has had in-depth conversations with most people he's hired, because he's a half-elf. He actually kind of finds Caitlin's whole thing of not wanting to be an elf, but wanting to be part of elf society, feels a connection to it. And you know that House Agast is a very old house. There's a lot of half-elves in Aradia, but in an old house, they're as good as human. They are nothing. He's hoping that this big thing can maybe finally give him the place he deserves in his own family. And that's kind of why he's so melancholy about it.
Yeah, I would just give him I would, understanding this, I would just give him a big smile as I leave. Sort of a non-verbal. I hope this helps both of us.
He smiles a bit more, but it doesn't reach his eyes. He does give you a smile back and a nod. So, you leave. You leave the building. Do you leave the estate? You really have no reason to stay. And what do you do? What's the first thing? What do you team talk about? Have a little chat-see? I mean, you finished your job. You finished a job together. It's pretty good.
I do wish Neil was here because I do want to talk to Vale in depth.
I'll do it next time.
Yeah. I keep missing the opportunity. It's been for me because you guys got to see him last week. For me, it's been 3 sessions. And I'm like, he's a person, I believe. So I'll say to Caitlin, as soon as I kind of like walk out of the compound and it's like that moment where everybody's kind of contemplate what we're supposed to go, I'm going to say to Caitlin, Caitlin, where is there a charity? And I don't not mean a church.
Charity? Ollie?
You could easily... Caitlin knows where charity is. In particular, you'd probably point him to Rosewater Way. a particularly
Yep, I was about to say.
a particularly downtrodden part of the city. Like, just mentioning that half-elves maybe don't find themselves accepted so much. Yeah, there's a lot of them of Rosewater Way. Rosewater Way is a quite near the docks and sort of the filth of the city, more or less, but not necessarily deliberately. And it's just sort of the bad area of the city. There's a lot of places you could go there to help people if that is what you wish to do.
Yeah, I would actually sort of suggest this and say, Rosewater Way is a particularly poor area of the city that is often in need of charity. If you want, I can lead you there.
Yes, this would be much appreciated.
Are you going to give away all of that gold?
As much as I would like to give away all of the gold, unfortunately, to survive in society, I do need gold. So I will keep my hands a nice fistful.
Good.
As we're wandering, as we're going towards Rosewater Way, I will talk to Thorak about a half-elven sorceress I once encountered there.
Okay. Stop stepping on your own ego. Ian's other character is from Rosewater Way, is the reference.
She sounds like bitch. No, just kidding.
So you head
She
to
probably
where...
actually sounds really intriguing. Unless does she like play up to elven society, or she just accepts her place as a
She's
non-elf?
almost a little opposite of Caitlin.
Oh, okay. So then my character probably likes the sound of her.
Yeah.
Like it's not her fault. She's part elven. Like I feel bad that she was born with sullied blood. You know what I mean?
Also, she would probably have been much more on board with Thorak's idea of getting rid of.
Oh yeah. So you head to Rosewater Way. It's kind of like you go past the docks of the city, and docks are fairly interesting. I mean, there's a big lighthouse with green light coming from it. Lots of ships. You never seen so many ships. But you head to Rosewater Way. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, there's pink trees a lot. There's a lot of pink going on in this area, and it's still pretty. It's just the amount of beggars on the streets, the amount of urchins you see. Like, you straight up see like children rushing and pickpocketing people. And that almost happens to Gilwyn, but Gilwyn's a little too smart for it. It is a little cluttered compared to the rest of the city. The buildings are a little tighter together and a little fused together, and things aren't good. The one or two buildings here that are nice are either decrepit or are just really nice compared to everything else. In fact, just give me like a real quick perception rolls, each of you. Again, anyone who cares. You don't have to.
Always care. Always because by Ollie's suggestion, I'm suspicious. I don't like elven society, so
It makes sense you'd be suspicious, right?
Yeah. Yeah. When we leave the elves, I'll be happy again.
The nicest building here is a embassy to the city of Northenden. And it's really nice. It's very new, and it's a little like maybe they are kind of not helping the area.
What is it again? The nicest building is what again?
An embassy to the city of Northenden, which is a human city which is known as the Free City, right? The human city
cool.
to the east. But again, it's the nicest building. It's also probably the newest, but it's not. You know, it stands out a little too much. So, you looking for some charity? Or are you like just going to give money out, or are you literally looking for an organization to give it out to?
An organization, because then I know it's not just going to find its way into the pockets of like bad people. You know what I mean?
Great.
Like,
feel free to give me an
unfortunately, my birth was in a pretty shitty place, so I understand shitty people.
Yes. Feel free to give me either a investigation or a sort of persuasion roll.
Can I use Caitlin in this one? Like, can we both roll because she's assisting me?
Yeah. If Caitlin wants to help, Caitlin can help with whichever she wants. Gilwyn can help too, because I imagine Gilwyn came with you. Because why not, right? Gilwyn can Gilwyn feel free to decide either way amongst yourself. Vale definitely didn't.
Yeah. I get advantage on investigation rolls to locate things in Aradia.
Yep, you do.
So.
Cool. Cool.
Gilwyn, are you with
Minus
them?
1 mod.
Yeah, I'd go with him. Yeah.
I imagine it sounds vaguely interesting, right? So you very quickly find a place, an organization, apparently started by a mage that used to look after this part of the city, called the Brighter Horizons, and they very quickly are willing to. After that horrible incident, like I was describing something, and I was like, "Huh, they're not cutting in. They're not cutting in. Look at this big red flashing light down there. I hope that isn't a problem." And I was literally watching the drop frames go like 0%, 1%, 2%. It was a whole thing. So we're back where we were describing charity, the Brighter Horizons charity. Aveen, you described it as sort of like an orphanage? No, an orphanage would require way more funds than they have. More like, yeah, you're poor on the streets, we can feed you. Actual reasonable food instead of you stealing everything. But it's run by a few half-elves. You walk in that place looking for charity, and they're like charity, and they're like, huh? You want to give us money? That's... Like, they're surprised, because this hasn't happened for a while.
I quickly look up that report online to see, like, what rating they get as a charity. Because, like, Susan... Because, like Susan B. Komen for the Cure is, like, one of the worst organizations ever, and yet, like, everything in the United States pours money at them. And so I just don't want to be Susan B. Komen to, like, the NFL, you know what I mean? Like, I want to...
No, I don't know what you mean. I don't want to.
What? Oh, you don't?
No!
Oh, well, some charities are a bunch of shitbags. And
yes.
Some charities are good. Like Donald Trump's charity. He
okay.
Okay.
So anyway. This charity is run by a few anxious-seeming half-elves.
Yeah. So,
you could give them insight rolls if you want to actually do the equivalent.
Half-elves aren't bad.
If you want to do the equivalent, you can do an insight roll. That's basically like a Yelp review to the soul.
I'm actually trusting Caitlin's judgment on this thing, because Caitlin is in general not a bad person. She just has her priorities.
And she knows shit.
According to 4X opinion. You know what I mean? So, but that's all. That's based off the fact that 4X himself is racist. So.
Yeah,
okay, great.
Caitlin would also, I don't know how much 4Ac is going to give.
Mm-hmm. How much are you going to
give?
So anyways, you bring me to this orphanage, right?
Not orphanage,
not
more
orphanage,
people who are willing to help the poor on the streets.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like
It's more like a soup kitchen.
It's a soup kitchen. Basically, it's a soup kitchen, plus maybe we'll help you find a job. We'll do whatever we can, yeah.
Oh, real life, I like helping out these organizations, so cool. So anyways, I go in there, and I'm just kind of like, yes, this charity to help out the peoples in the street that are they take the offense of the elven cunts that treat them like shit because their parents are a little different. Yes,
I would be more careful with your words. There are children, but yes, we take care of the downtrodden. Make sure that everyone, no matter what, gets a good meal in Aradia, in Rosewater Way. Yes. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold right now.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I'm usually very cold.
Yes, you wanted to give money? That is...
Yes, I would. What do you do exactly?
Well, money that you give us would mostly go to food. Occasionally clothes.
Food, good. And I'll slap a chunk of coin. So I'll slap that whole bag of coin.
The whole bag
that I just got on the counter, but I'm going to take like a couple fistfuls out to make sure I have some. You said we got 180 each, right?
Yeah, 180 each.
Okay, so I grab a couple fistfuls out without counting. Let's just say I gave them 100 gold pieces and I kept 80 for myself.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
I
Okay.
I would add 50 gold to that, because the money we took off the people we killed rather than any.
Yeah. Okay. So they see this, and this is one of those times I remind you.
Do I know that that's the money? I'm not going to say anything, but do I know that
well, I mean, you'd easily be able to tell it's
it's
dwarven
not
coin
that
instead of
coin, 'cause
elven
it's not
coin.
that bag, but-
Yeah, and it's
what?
also dwarven coin instead of elven coin. That's the only obvious difference. But this is part I remind you. A commoner earns 2 gold a year. You've dropped a lot of money on these people, and like this guy, like has. Are you serious? And like someone else comes over and's like, Gwelyn, what's this? Oh, thank you. And they start like doing things. And they do actually mutter prayers to the elven gods, but nothing really too hardcore, right? Just sort of like passing prayers, like thank the gods. And they do check for about 5 minutes if you're sure. But they do take your money. And
listen, there is a little problem with this donation. I like give how do you say no strings attached, but there's little problem.
I drop 125 gold on the counter and go.
Do you? They're like, oh,
wow,
and
Jesus Christ, that's a. Between the three of us,
between the three of you, you should make a difference, right?
That was sexy.
What is
beautiful?
What is the?
It was beautiful.
What is this string? You mean, Master Dwarf?
These are this gold. It is not a little, yes.
It's not a little. No, sir.
What would stop shitbags? How you say
people.
unpleasant people? What would stop these unpleasant people from coming and taking this?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. That's happened to us before.
Are there no banks here?
There are banks, yes. We should deposit this and use it sensibly and filter so we can help more people over a greater time.
I understand. There is a lot of gold here. Then I suppose I say the request, the string attached is you need to hire guard that will watch over the establishment and make sure this gold is not stolen.
Yes.
Or if you choose to put in bank, then this guard is the one that transports the gold A to B.
The guy you're talking to is like deep in thought for a little bit of time, and he's like you've done a great service. What was your name? What's all of your names?
Does not matter. And I turn and walk away.
No, you do not worry about my name, but if
Gilwyn Gallagher.
Thank you, Gilwyn.
Thank you. I love you.
There will be children singing in the streets saying, "Thank you, Gilwyn Gallagher."
I would smile at Gil, but I would add, if you need someone to act as a guard in the meantime while you search for a guard to employ, I would be happy to provide the service for a few days. If you want to take the time to find a trustworthy guard.
It's funny you should mention that. They agree and like yes, of course that's in like you look like a capable type, so they definitely they don't necessarily agree, but they're like we'll let you know, come back tomorrow when we've talked about it more with the people that run this, blah 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 blah. And Gilwyn, they're incredibly thankful, and you probably take a while to leave because you're like just charity. But yeah, you find Forak waiting outside after doing his good bit.
When we're out there, I'm gonna be like, I did not expect you to be so general. You know this word. But I must say, while I do not expect this thing of you, the fact that all three of us did it and Vale did not, I think it speaks of Vale's character. Yes, kind of shithead.
Vale better be the one buying the potions. Let's just say that.
I just say it was not necessary for the all three of us to do this. You are great people, but Vale shithead.
Well, that particular money that I donated, I would not have felt right holding on to anyway. And well, they needed it more. They need it more than me.
I don't want to be rich. I just want enough gold to live. It's as simple as that.
Yes, I also too would like to live. That would be good.
So, after that, do you have anything again that you guys immediately want to do, or do you want to set into the mythical downtime?
Well, I had a quick thing. I would. I would like to find a blacksmith armor or something along those lines. I'd just like them to have an inspection of the greatsword and breastplate I got off the Dragonborn, if possible.
So when Caitlin's like, I think I'm looking for a blacksmith, just for it to go very loudly.
Caitlin,
Where did I put my qualifications for blacksmithing? I know I have them somewhere.
Let me be clear. Stereotypes are often based in fact, yes?
Yes.
I am a dwarf.
Right, I see what you mean. Well, while I appreciate that, Sephora, I would be happy if you would have a look at this great sword that I procured. This particular breastplate, I do not believe there's anything wrong with it. It was more that I would have wanted it, see if it could be perhaps redesigned or refitted or repainted in some way to appear more native to Aradia. I'm not sure that would please your.
Yes. You do not want function, you want fancy. I understand. The elven way. It is pretty, but it's also pretty breakable. So.
But
yes.
This greatsword, by all means, please have a look at it. See what you can. See if you can, because it looks to have been quite abused by its previous owner. To be quite frank.
Yeah, she pulls out this greatsword. I imagine you go somewhere you could sit and talk, maybe a garden or a courtyard or something, right? So you're not standing in the middle of Urchin Street.
Yeah.
But she pulls out this greatsword, and it's exactly as she's described. It was once a nice sword. Whoever owned it before, who's the Dragonborn that Forik didn't meet, had not cleaned it, maintained it. It's scratched the fuck. It's dented. It's like just brutalized. It's rusting in places. It was nice once.
What time is it right now while they're doing this?
It would be rather late.
Yeah.
To say the least, like the lanterns are lit and the stars are out.
Fair enough.
Okay, so this obviously would have to be very, very superficial because it's not something that's so simple. It's not basic earth, right? Because I'm talking about the spell mold earth here. So I'm looking to go for more of like a prestidigitation effect. But because this is made out of earth, it's metal. Prestidigitation effect on this with the mold earth spell. So by no means are we looking to cast mending or fixes.
No,
or
I know what
anything
you
like
mean,
that,
like
literally,
a slight
it's kind of like one of
fix.
those. I'm looking at it and I'm holding it. And I'm almost like, and then like I ting it, and as I do so, it like gives off like this certain note, and I'm sure that Gilwin can immediately pick up exactly what note that is because he's an awesome bard. I hear that note and almost kind of like I kind of like with my raspy voice, I'm kind of like, and like I almost like hit that note in unison, and like as the harmony hits, the blade itself completely becomes cleaned, and some of the dings or whatever clear off of it and show like as though it's been cared for, but again, not mending spell.
Yeah, it's not a 100% thing, but it is it's a lot slower too. I imagine this takes 5-7-ish minutes, like you're like, but it's not.
It's very guttural, almost like I'm hacking up a loogie. Like
he sounds like he might just like spew up at any moment. But the weapon is so much better after that. It's not perfect. It's still got dents. It's still it's one of those things where you would hand this to a blacksmith, they would fix it in half an hour, and they would charge you full price. But a blacksmith you liked probably might do it even for free, right? That liked you. It's superficial damage at best.
So after we're off to the side for a couple of minutes and they're like listening to this noise, I imagine they take a couple steps away because it is not a pleasant noise.
You're doing this in not in private, so you're doing this, and then there's like an elven couple like walking hand in hand, and you're like, hey, and they're like, maybe we should take the other way. And it's like walk. You have the space to yourselves.
So I after the time is spent or whatever, and looking at this, do you think this is something that I might be able to repair because I am
this is not.
smithing kit?
You absolutely could. Do you have a smithing kit on you?
I don't think I was. I'm proficient.
You're proficient, but you don't have
think
one.
I got them.
Yeah, if you had one, or if you had access to a smith, sure. Like you absolutely, this wouldn't even be trouble. This would be like
no, I have smith tools. Those are the only ones I have. Smith tools.
You could start smithing it here,
Yeah.
like in this courtyard.
Oh, is there a bench here that's like
You're
a
sitting.
stone
You're,
bench?
you're sitting on like a wooden bench, but there are stones around.
I need a stone bench. I'm totally gonna do this on a stone
All right.
bench.
What you do is you kind of hobble around. Like he does this, does the spell, and there's like cops and like. You find a stone sundial, sort of bench height.
Okay, so I'll go over and I'll start going to work on it, and like I'll be tinging on it and doing everything. So it's friggin' loud over in this like park area wherever we are, and if people continue to like walk by and seem to be like annoyed, I'll get annoyed with the fact that they're distracting. I'll actually throw up like a fog cloud just to kind of get people to stay away. It's kind of like this that like dark fog.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Away. Yeah.
Um,
And then we keep working on it. I'll make a check, of course.
Yeah. Make a check right now.
Do I have any penalties? Because not in an official forge. I do have the tools.
You don't have penalties. It'll be a kind of hard DC. The issue is not fixing it at this point. It's more just kind of like the attention you're making.
Of course. And what's the attribute you'd like?
Oh,
me to
this would be
use?
intelligence.
Oh, that sucks. All right, here we go.
12. I get you. You fix it. It's one of those things where it's like maybe if you had another night, you could fix it more, and you'd be like, this could be really good. You could sharpen it. You could do everything. But this is like, okay, this is fixed it to be usable. It's the dead of night. A guard, like, there's this fog cloud. You see a lantern trying to go through the fog cloud as one of the Irradiant guards in the Viridian armor starts walking through. They have their hand sort of on their sword. When they see you there forging, when they, like, stumble through, and I imagine Caitlin and Gilwyn are nearby, like maybe on the other side of the fog cloud, the hand goes off, and it's just like, what are you doing, Master Dwarf?
Work.
Do you not have a house to work in?
Do I look like kind of person that lives in this city?
You can't just forge in the middle of a public park. This is not allowed.
He just did.
He did, exactly.
Noted. I almost done. You perhaps give me another minute or two to finish.
Give me a persuasion roll. I want to see how that.
I
that
get
goes.
disadvantage, don't I? Because it's an elf.
Oh yeah, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
It's like maybe to do the finish. Kunt. Whoa. I don't know what it is. Maybe your abrasive attitude. Maybe looking to see Caitlin and Gilwyn. Like Caitlin is like, and Gilwyn's like, meh. May's like, finish off what you do, and please find a room next time. Okay, just don't cause any more trouble, sir. He leaves. He leaves you alone. You imagine he's probably still hanging around, but just sort of like not within sight. So, you fix up to as much as you want.
Okay, sorry.
It's very late. I imagine Gilwyn's like... very obviously yawning. Yes.
And yeah, and Caitlin will actually take notice of this time rather than ignoring it. Yes, perhaps we should find a tavern for the or an inn for the night, Sir Gilwyn.
Definitely.
Caitlin, it is nice, good sword. Here you go.
Thank you, Sir Forak. I'd give it a couple of sort of... I'd look it over and give it a couple of test swings and then sort of nod in satisfaction.
It's so much
Perhaps
nicer
get
than before.
the correct oils. I can finish the job, but I do not have correct supplies.
Of course. Well, I mean, I do have to hope... I may well be visiting a blacksmith or an armourer of some kind tomorrow, so perhaps you might accompany me and see if we could get some there to finish the job?
I do not think so. You have this guest. He'll hire us to do another job that undoubtedly I will not enjoy. Until then, I think I find a place in city that I like. Yes, perhaps I find abandoned shithole in near the over here, and I what is the word? Squat for a little while.
Well, I'm sure the people of Rosewater Way would be welcoming, Sir Forak, until we meet again then. And thank you again for the work on the greatsword.
Okay, so Forak limps away into the darkness, And Gilwyn and Arvine, you easily find a place to lay your head for the night. You spend around 5 silver getting a good meal and some stuff for the night. Let's just see what you have for dinner, shall we? Because that's always the best part. Scrambled eggs and some sausage. You know, you're basically having breakfast for dinner and it's good, right? It's like proper hearty food. So, you start getting dressed, and in the morning you wake up again, and it's nice to wake up here, right? You wake up in a bed that has pillows. Oh, the dwarven beds, sometimes they had a sheet, but not always. This has pillows, it's soft. Is that duck feather? I don't know, but I love it. It's so much nicer here for your sensibilities. Like, even though it's a tavern and you're basically, I imagine you ended up in the dock district, right? It's noisy and you can hear the sea in the background, and it's not unpleasant. It's just a very different kind of noise. You just really enjoy this feeling, that the air of the place, the sensations you're getting. Caitlin's home, and Gilwyn, you're glad to be stopping here for a bit.
Yeah, I've got some headroom. When I get out of bed, I don't have to watch my head.
You're like,
I can...
So, I think Gilwyn, you wanted to do something, and Caitlin wants to go see blacksmiths. So, Gilwyn first. What do you want to do?
When we were in that, like, was it like an impoverished area where that?
Yes, Rosewater Way is the bad area of the city.
I just wanted to sit and chill on a corner and play some music.
Okay. Do you want to just like kind of go back and be doing that while you're in the city? Okay. So, Caitlin, you want to see a blacksmith have that breastplate reforged in a more elven way, right?
Yep.
That's absolutely fine. It does take you a few tries to get a smith that is willing to do it. I'm not going to make you roll or anything because you know your way around the city. Usually you'd have to do like an investigation roll to find it, but you know your way around the city. You ask a couple of people you know, and then this guy who actually made your hammer, because you were like, I need the specific weights, right? And you're like,
yep.
He's like, this is dwarven work. Give me some days and return 100 gold pieces. I'll have this in fittable condition, and it'll fit your body far nicer than it did before. And he does like almost like a tailor very quickly, like tape measure around your body and get the measurements so it will fit perfectly. You know this guy will do you a good job. 100 gold if you have it.
Done.
Good, great. So with that, we are going to take our break because no, my internet crashing doesn't count as a break. So we're going to take a little bit of a longer break, and then we'll be back, and we'll see what happens while these guys are alone without a job for a bit, and then obviously they're going to get hired again. They're not just going to be left alone forever. Or are they? We'll see. See you in 5-ish minutes? 5-ish.
Woo.